Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Bobcat Corner. This is episode number 37 of Bobcat Corner. And just like I've been promising the last couple episodes, I was going to indeed provide you with an update of sorts concerning both the coaching staff and the player roster for the Ohio Bobcats football team. Now, ever since the bowl game season came and went with the Cure Bowl finishing the 2024 campaign, there have been many moves being made throughout college football, but also to the Ohio Bobcats as well. And it started off with naming Brian Smith the full time head coach, the new full time head coach of the Ohio Bobcats, as I mentioned previously a couple times already. But with that, he has assembled his own coaching staff, a coaching staff that he's going to bring with him for the 2025 season. With most of the staff, most of the guys that were here for 2024 are going to be staying put for 2025. So even with the departure of previous head coach Tim Albin, who has since left to go to coach the Charlotte 49ers, that's going to be for another topic for another time. Not going to talk about that. But most of the coaching staff that was here for 2024, they're staying put. They're staying in Athens, Ohio for 2025, and that's a good sign, obviously. Good sign of hopefully more good things to come. So you have at least a good enough sense of continuity going forward when it comes to the coaching staff for the Ohio Bobcats football team. And I want to review the staff a little bit. As I said before, new head coach Brian Smith, John Hauser, who played a very significant role on the defensive side of things. He was the defensive coordinator for 2024, coming back again as the defensive coordinator for 2025 for the Ohio Bobcats. And he has also been promoted to be the associate head coach for the Bobcats. So he's going to be working very closely with Brian Smith to implement game plans and to just get the team ready for every game. And that's great because John Hauser, he really proved himself as a great defensive coordinator, and obviously it showed itself last year when you see the film how wonderful the Bobcats played on defense. John Hauser, the defensive coordinator, played a big role in that. So good job there in securing him. Scott Ipsorting, I hope I'm saying that name right. Scott Ipsorting, he's coming back. He is now the new offensive coordinator for the Ohio Bobcats, as well as the quarterbacks coach. Matt Butterfield, he is a new face arriving in Athens, Ohio. He is going to be the special teams coordinator slash running backs coach for the Ohio Bobcats going forward. He comes to Ohio by way of Arizona State. So he was previously with Arizona State last year. So he's coming to Ohio to make the jump here. Uh, Definitely a decorative career for Matt Butterfield. He was with Arizona State since 2022 and made the jump on January 6, 2025 to be the new special teams coordinator and running backs coach. So he's going to have a new stop in his coaching career, and let's see what we can do with him managing our special teams. And D'Angelo Smith, defensive passing game coordinator, cornerbacks coach, director of player development. Tremaine Scott, running game coordinator slash defensive line coach. And here's another new arrival, Jeff Phelps. Jeff Phelps, he is going to be the pass rush specialist slash defensive ends coach for the Ohio Bobcats. And shout out to JY of the Big Mountain podcast. I believe he would know this guy well because Jeff Phelps comes to Ohio by way of Wyoming. So Phelps was part of the Wyoming Cowboys coaching staff previously. At Wyoming, he was the defensive tackles coach for the 2024 season. And he's had a long career, long coaching career. Jeff Phelps, highly respected guy, and he's had stints previously with North Dakota State. You know that college very well, North Dakota State. Uh, he spent 6 seasons as Minnesota's defensive line coach, Minnesota Golden Gophers. That was from 2011 2016. So Phelps, obviously, he's gotten around very well. He coached for 5 seasons at Northern Illinois from 2006 2010. Previously, before that, so again, he's been around the college football scene for a long time, and I'm just glad that we have someone like Jeff Phelps and his experience to help us, especially with the role that he's going to play with, his pass rush specialists and defensive ends. That's going to be interesting because again, our defense last year was very explosive, especially along the edge, the defensive end position. So to see what Phelps can do along those lines, that'll be interesting. Tavita Thompson, he's our new offensive line coach. Let me pull up his bio right now on the Ohio Bobcats website. Um, January 6th, he was named the offensive line coach. He comes to Ohio by way of Central Michigan. So he's coming from a MAC conference foe in Central Michigan, Chippewas. Tavita Thompson, he has some experience as well coaching. Central Michigan, um, former playing experience, and uh, previously he played way back like 2004, 2008 at Oregon State. So again, familiarity with the college football game. So Tavita Thompson, he obviously has experience coaching the offensive line, knows what he's doing. Glad to have him on board. And just running out the rest of the coaching staff for 2025 right now for the Bobcats. Andre Allen, wide receivers coach. Kyle Obley, the tight ends coach. And then you get a few assistants here. I'll provide a link down below in the description box for you guys to check out for the rest of the coaching staff. So far, it's a solid coaching staff. I mean, don't get me wrong about that. It's a solid coaching staff for the Bobcats. Definitely glad to have these guys on board. So, yeah. And I'm also pulling up a article that recently described the new additions to the coaching staff. Now, keep in mind that yes, it talks about Jeff Phelps, but it also talks about this guy named Joe Bolden. He was very successful at the University of Michigan as a player. Um, and it will say here in this article that Bolden comes to Ohio by way of Tulsa, but keep in mind, I have to preface this. Keep in mind, this article was posted by the Athens Messenger on January 8th, and obviously things have changed since then. Joe Bolden was originally going to come on as the linebackers coach for the Ohio Bobcats, but that has since fallen through because Joe Bolden, not long after this was announced, um, it was as recent as January 16th when it was announced that Joe Bolden would be named the new special teams coordinator for the Southern Miss Golden Eagles to round out the coaching staff that Charles Huff is making down there in Southern Miss. So no, we're not going to have Joe Bolden on our coaching staff. He's headed down to Southern Miss instead. And when it comes to that, I can only describe it like this. It was a last minute, supposedly better deal, better offer being made by Southern Miss when it comes to money and contracts and stuff like that. That is the only guess that I have as to why Joe Bolden made the switch. So just keep that in mind when you read the article. I'm going to pull it up anyway. I'm going to put it down on the description box so that you guys can check it out. But just keep that in mind. Anyway, and for the record, I apologize about the lighting. It's becoming late here in the afternoon when I'm doing this, so don't be alarmed by the light that's coming in. That's just the sunset. Anyway, I want to transition real fast to what would be the transfer portal. A slight discussion on the transfer portal. Now, I had been talking about this leading up to the Cure Bowl game that happened on December 20th against Jacksonville State. I was talking about how the Bobcats did not have any transfers in the portal up until that time, of course. But ever since then, there were some that hit the portal, just like anybody else, just like any other school in college football. And I mean, it's inevitable. But I want to run down a list of a few guys just as examples of who we've lost so far already to the transfer portal. I mean, this was inevitable, guys. That's just what I'm just going to say here. This is another article I'm going to link down in the description box for you guys to check out. Let's just start here. Confirmed players in the transfer portal. Bradley Weaver, redshirt junior defensive end. He has transferred from Ohio to Rutgers. He is now going to be part of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights defensive squad. Uh, this is like the really only big loss that I've seen so far for the Bobcats. I mean, this is the only move where I'm like, yeah, this sucks when it comes to losing players. Bradley Weaver, the only guy that's when you look at it, when you look at the stats, it's like, yeah, you wish you didn't lose this guy, but what can you do? He got a better offer from Rutgers. So it will go on here in this article by WOUB Public Media. It will go on to say that Weaver, he tallied 8.5 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, and 44 total tackles in the 2024 season. That's a lot of productivity that's being lost here. That just means other guys have got to step it up on the defensive and the defensive side of things for the Bobcats here. Well, and honestly, I just wish that Bradley Weaver did not choose Rutgers because upcoming season here, 2025, we are going to be playing Rutgers in Piscataway, New Jersey, to open up the season. So I think that was a little bit intentional on Bradley Weaver's part on why he chose Rutgers, but that's just me. Parker Starts, freshman linebacker. He didn't see the field for the Bobcats last season. He transferred to Charlotte, so he's going to go over there to Charlotte. Bryce Butler, redshirt junior, tight end / fullback. He's hit the transfer portal. We don't know yet where he's going. So there's that. Stellan Bowman, freshman linebacker. He has also transferred to Charlotte. Then it goes on to list other players. Ricky Hunt Jr., I want to mention this. Redshirt freshman, running back. As you guys may know when you watch Bobcat Corner, the previous episodes this past year, I was really high on Ricky Hunt. I was really hoping that he would get going for the Bobcats last year. I was hoping that he would provide a 1-2 punch along with Anthony Tyus III. It didn't quite work out that way, at least not for Ricky Hunt Jr. I mean, it's a bummer. It's something that I feel bad for because I was really pulling for this guy. I was really rooting for Ricky Hunt to get going. He has since transferred out of Ohio, and he's now going to be part of the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. He's going back to his home state of Oklahoma. He's from Oklahoma originally, Oklahoma City. So he's going to Tulsa. I wish him the best. I wish it would have worked out better for him here in Ohio, but he's going to Tulsa, so let's see what happens there. Colby Garfield, graduate long snapper. He's going to Charlotte too. Okay. CJ Doggett, redshirt sophomore. Another good guy on defense who produced well for us. Defensive tackle. He has transferred to Florida Atlantic, so he's going to go down to Florida Atlantic and try to get stuff done for the Owls down there. So Austin Brawley, junior safety, he has transferred to New Mexico. And Jacob Dennison, redshirt senior, offensive tackle, he has transferred to Wake Forest. And Gianni Spektic, sophomore kicker, He did well kicking the football for us last year. He has since transferred to Memphis. So, confirmed players to sign with Ohio. Now, here's an interesting thing. Now, I've noticed that some of these players that I'm going to mention here real fast, I'm only going to mention a few just so I can get you guys started on this journey here to, venture into looking at these new players that the Bobcats have. It's very interesting to see who has committed to us, who has indeed signed with us, who is going to, just go on that journey with us in 2025. And let me list a few players here right now. Let's see. Running back Sieh Bangura. Let's start right there. Now, many of you guys, if you follow the Ohio Bobcats closely, you would know that Sieh Bangura was a big deal back in 2023, especially. He was the guy at running back in 2023. Um, he spent 2021, 2022 as well here in Ohio. And reading off stats here, 2023, he had like 128 rushing attempts for 811 yards and 7 touchdowns, 18 receptions, 159 yards, 1 touchdown. That was when he was with Ohio in 2023. 2022, the year before that, he had 222 rushing attempts for 1,078 yards, 13 touchdowns on the ground, 27 receptions, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving. So with that kind of productivity, it puts it into perspective what we're going to be getting back potentially with Sieh Bangura. Now, for 2024, he transferred from Ohio to Minnesota to play with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And for whatever reason, that did not turn out well for Sieh Bangura. He hardly ever saw the field for Minnesota. He was like a backup slash third string running back for the Golden Gophers. Just didn't work out for whatever reason up there. So now Bangura, he's coming back down here to Athens, Ohio. Glad to have him back. I mean, we needed a running back anyway because Anthony Tyus III, he's on his way out. He has to go pro. Tyus, he has to go pro to the NFL. He has no eligibility left remaining. So we have to have a new running back. It might as well be someone like Sieh Bangura. So that's great. And so another former Bobcat who was with us in 2021. So it's a little dated, but defensive back Pierre Kameni. He has transferred back to Ohio from the University of New Mexico. So he was with the Lobos. And he has not seen a lot of action lately, last, couple years, aside from other collegiate activity, which I don't have on hand here. So I'll probably update you on that on another episode. But yeah, Pierre Kameni, he was with us in 2021. He's coming back after a few years of not being here. So we'll see what Kameni does. Help us out with the secondary. And a couple other defensive backs that we did get. Jamar Mundy from Western Kentucky. He's coming here from Western Kentucky. And interesting note there about Mundy is that in 2021, he played for the Miami, Ohio Redhawks. So he does have familiarity when it comes to MAC play. And I'm pretty sure he understands the importance of the rivalry between Miami of Ohio and Ohio. So I'm pretty sure about that. And defensive back Ricky Hyatt Jr. He's coming to Ohio from South Alabama, which is interesting because we played the South Alabama Jaguars last year, early on in the year. So Ricky Hyatt Jr., defensive back, he has seen, some playing time, more so than the other names listed. 2023, he had like 9 tackles, so he got in some experience there. 2024, he saw even more experience. 29 tackles, 13 solos, 16 assists in tackles. So Ricky Hyatt Jr., Jamar Mundy, Pierre Kameni, those guys all together, they're all looking for more playing time. That's definitely why they came here. So let's just see what works out there. long snapper Nick Hemmer. Hope I'm saying his last name right. Long snapper Nick Hemmer. He's coming here from Hutchinson Community College. That's based in Kansas. Now, 24/7 Sports, apparently they have this guy, Nick Hemmer, listed as one of the very best long snappers in the country. So for us to be able to get him is a very good sign because that's going to help us with fourth down situations, whether we're punting the ball or kicking a field goal. We have this guy snapping it as the long snapper. So good sign. I mean, nothing to sneeze at. So, other guys that I've seen listed as either committing or strongly leaning towards joining Ohio or just have flat out signed with Ohio. These are the names that have been listed. And I'm going to be giving a shout out to this one website that I found lately. It is going to be called bobcatattack.com. So I'm going to provide a link even to that so you guys can check out what's going on with the message boards. Keep in mind it is a message board, so not everything that's being said on a message board is 1,000% accurate, but these are Bobcats fans, so after all. So anyway, names that have been listed as either committing, signing, or at least very, very close to doing so. Wide receiver Colton Grover from South Dakota Mines Hard Rockers, that's their name. 2023, he played in 8 games, 2 receptions, 29 yards. 2024, Grover played in 10 games. He had 33 receptions for 451 yards and 5 touchdowns. On that level, that's good productivity on that level of college football. Alfred Jordan Jr., this one stood out to me in particular. Wide receiver, he's coming from Idaho State. In 2023, he played in 11 games. He had 44 receptions, 479 yards. He was averaging 10.9 yards per catch. I mean, that's good. That's solid productivity right there. In 2024, he only had 4 receptions for 90 yards. And the word going on around that is that he was injured. I'm willing to think that he was injured and that he wasn't able to see the field after getting those few receptions. So he's making a comeback here for Ohio. I'm interested in seeing what he can do, especially Alfred Jordan Jr. I'm very optimistic about that guy. Offensive lineman Josh Waite, he's been offered. He hasn't officially signed, but he's been offered a spot on the roster for the Bobcats. He's from Division II, Shippensburg Raiders. In 2023, he appeared in 10 games, started 6 of them. That's another example of a guy who's looking for more playing time, more experience playing. And one note about the offensive line, guys, is that right now I'm kind of concerned about the offensive line. When you look at the transfer portal and what's going on with all the moves, it's just not going well when it comes to the offensive line. The Bobcats are having a lot of difficulty finding offensive linemen to sign, and I just don't know why that is. But in this case here, Joshua Waite, hopefully he's going to sign with us. We need as much depth as we possibly can on the offensive line right now. That's a glaring need right now. So hopefully that's going to get addressed here soon. Hopefully in the springtime, no later than that it gets addressed. We need to get offensive linemen. Anyway, and then kicker David Dellenbach. He's going to be replacing Johnny Spectic. David Dellenbach, he comes from UCLA, and he redshirted in 2024. He was ranked 10th in his kicking class, so take that for what you will. Interesting note there. Defensive end Evan Herman, he comes from Vanderbilt. He is going to be joining the Ohio Bobcats. He's looking for playing time. Same thing with him. He's known as a track runner. He likes to run track. He was named AP All Wisconsin, so he All Wisconsin State team, and back in high school. And Yeah, runs track, 110-meter hurdles. He clocked in at under 15 seconds doing all that. So the guy's got wheels on him. He can move. So yeah, there's that. And Nehemiah Dukes, defensive lineman, he comes from Youngstown State. He's coming from the Youngstown State Penguins. He has committed. He's signed with the Bobcats. He's going to be joining us. He's played a combined 20 games the last 3 years. In 2024 alone, he played 12 games, 6 tackles, um, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 pass deflection. So good productivity there. Looking to level up when it comes to that. Then lastly, Anas Lukman, defensive lineman from Arkansas Pine Bluff. Now, I've seen a little bit of footage of this guy, and he jumps out in a really good way. When you see the film of him when he plays the defensive line, he's explosive, and that's the kind of guy the Bobcats need. Uh, he's, you know, in 2022 he had 14 tackles, 8 solos, 6 assists, 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. And 2023, I mean, he saw limited time there, 2023, so not much productivity there. But 2024, 33 tackles, 18 solos, 15 assists, 2.5 sacks. So that is the rundown for the transfer portal so far, what the Bobcats have gained and what they have lost. More news is soon to come. So hope you guys got enough information out of that, and I'll be happy to provide even more information about the transfer portal and the coaching staff down below in the description box. So if you guys like this content that I put out, please give me a like, please give me a thumbs up. And if you like the content that I put out in general here on STV Castle, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and just share this content with other people on social media whenever you guys have the time. So hope you guys have a good day wherever you're at, and I'll be sure to provide more content on Bobcat Corner. Have a good day, guys. This is Stephen Vitt reporting. Take care.